Yates.
Here.
All right, we do have one person set to speak for the public participation. I'm going to read our little blurb that we say every board meeting for public comments. The Board of Education welcomes public comment during the public comment portion of the agenda. Those who wish to address the board should state their name and limit their statement to 5 minutes. Comments are not restricted to items on the agenda. However, regarding specific student discipline cases, comments regarding specific student discipline cases are not allowed during open session. Generally, these types of comments should come to the board only after they've been referred to the teacher, principal, or administrator who's closest to the situation. If all of other avenues for resolving these items has been exhausted and the issue has not been resolved, you may request to address the board, usually during closed session. In addition, please refrain from using derogatory comments about staff members at this time. So we have Kristen Reed.
Hi, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Kristen Reed. I'm the music teacher over at Apollo, and I'm also a parent in the district. I wanted to comment on the pre-K classroom replacement this evening. I know it's an action item tonight. I'm pretty lucky. My family of four, 3 of us are at Apollo. So my husband and I both work at Apollo, and our second grader is there. My daughter is about to be in pre-K next year, and it would be really convenient to have everybody all in the same building. However, I think that the Joy facility has done a fabulous job creating an environment that's conducive to the students. And I would much rather put my daughter on a bus and go to Joy than to have her come here, even though it would be more convenient. Thank you.
No other public comments, and then we do have a board comment. Just remind you about.
So if you haven't gotten an email yet, spring division meeting for Blackhawk Division, March 27th, on your calendars. It's at Rocky at 5:30 p.m. And they're going to be doing planning for the upcoming year. So planning for professional development and sort of, probably for speakers to come and talk to all the different meetings throughout the year. So they really would like to have everybody's input. So we go and we appreciate it.
Right. Any other board comments? Item 4, correspondence. Do we have any? Number 5, approval of consent agenda, the meeting minutes, bill list, treasurer report, finance report, Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance account statement, and annual membership renewals for IHSA, IESA, BOSED, and those are all part of the consent agenda. Is there any items that anybody would like taken out? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Munson moves, Yates second. Roll call, please.
Yates.
Yes.
Lower.
Yes.
Munson.
Yes.
Nelson. Yes. Smock.
Yes.
Wagner. Yes.
All right, motion carries 6-0. Committee reports. In your packet, we had the Finance Committee report and the Building and Grounds Committee report. We'll be discussing some of the items in the Building and Grounds later on, but is there any questions about either of the reports that anyone had? Information and discussion items. 7.1, did we have any COIDA? Academic improvement plan.
Okay, I'll give a little update here. I'll start with district goals. We try and do the same at all of our admin meetings. The 5 buckets being student academic growth and achievement, programs and services, working to strengthen KA ELA/literacy math curricular and instructional approach. We're working to continue to modernize our curricular approach, continue to strengthen social emotional student supports, increase targeted pathway-based course opportunities, strengthen community involvement in schools, continue to solidify and expand positive branding, develop and implement long-term capital improvement plans, solidify security, safety, and district crisis plan, and in the bucket of finance, develop and implement long-term budget levy projections and plans, and increase operational efficiencies, meeting student needs first. With regards to academic improvement planning, at our January 6th Institute, our focus was vertical articulation. The rest of these items are items that I stole from our administrator reports that you noticed on our board reference site. So with regards to January 6th Institute, pre-K and kindergarten teachers studied differences between early learning standards and the kindergarten standards. And high school enjoyed the whole district collaboration and looks forward to additional district-wide collaboration to continue the discussion. Kagan in particular, and props to, there she is, Dr. Iva Hooten for lining up all the Kagan trainings. We had two, one in August, the second one in January 6th Institute. So Kagan classroom strategies are being used to increase student participation and social skills at our agency. At Apollo, math gains have been displayed on their mid-year assessment. In the junior high, 6th grade is dedicating 90 minutes a week of RTI time to move math skills forward, and they're working to mirror this approach in the 7th and 8th grade. At the high school, first semester Fs are down about 27% from last year, and behavior referrals are down about 24% from last year. Let me just plug them all.
Yeah, you might as well.
7.3 annual curriculum and instruction review. So just, a foundational review of what our approach is district-wide. In preschool, the work that they do centers around early learning standards. That's their curricular foundation. K through 12, our foundation is the Illinois Learning Standards. For ELA/literacy math, that's based on the Common Core state standards. In science, it's based on the next generation science standards. We work, at our core components are ELA/literacy, math, and science, and then we work on supplemental skills outside of that. The standards specific to all of the supplemental subjects are listed on the ISB website at that hyperlink. Really, at the end of the day, what these standards are is they're just a series of skill progressions with performance-based expectations, typically at the end of the grade. So students will be able to do this, by the end of grade 3, so on and so forth. Performance with regards to those standards are continuously assessed, and students, that's when you hear about RTI or different groupings, student skills are assessed, and we look to try and target opportunities for skill advancement whenever a student's struggling or whenever we need to push it a little harder. Some of the tools that are used to capture that data and determine what we do next: Renaissance learning, NWEA math testing, and then the large-scale summative assessments that we have to take based upon federal and state guidelines. As far as the act of teaching, the art of teaching, Danielson's framework for teaching is the foundation for how we try and model, determine, provide feedback on just the skill, the art, the science of teaching. There are 4 domains associated with that: planning, preparation, learning environment, learning experiences, and principal teaching is how the Danielson group frames it. As far as engagement, and strategic effort that the district has made this year is associated with Kagan's cooperative learning strategies. It's a series of activities. It's a mindset, a way to structure learning, your learning environment, your grouping, so that students are highly engaged. So all that establishes the foundation for what we do in our classroom processes. As far as 25-26, High school course offerings. I'll let Ms. Cooper, talk a little bit.
So not much changed from 24 to 25 to 25, 26. Few semantic things within course description. Some teachers maybe changed the names of units or added or modified orders of units and things of that nature. We do need to add a little blurb to our driver's education thing to be in compliance with the state, what we have to put in there, but again, that's just a semantic compliance thing. There are a couple courses we offered this year due to teacher certification that we won't be able to offer next year, but they were low course number courses. One of them was the first year we tried it. We only had 2 students interested, and that teacher isn't with us at the moment. So a couple of those, but the majority stay the same. We have liked, and I think the teachers have liked a lot, the changes that we've made to be in compliance with the Accelerated Placement Act, adding honors sections of some certain courses and things. Even without the need to do that for accelerated placement, I think it's done really well for our students. As teachers, we reflected upon that at our last staff meeting, so we're going to keep those.
You want to talk about your student-centered scheduling?
Yeah, oh yes, thank you. So when we met with Mr. Forker recently, we talked about, we as in the counselors and Ms. Dorian and I talked about how we do the scheduling at the high school. So just if you guys aren't aware, a lot of schools will make a master schedule and then students pick their courses from that master schedule. Okay, what's available first block, what's available second block. We don't actually, we remake the whole master schedule every year. So when students sign up for their classes, then we input into the system, Tammy does the preliminary work, we input into the system what classes students signed up for, and then we look at, okay, how many sections of each course do we need? And then we build the master schedule based off of that. So we build our master schedule based off of the needs of the students. The students don't have to base theirs off, like their courses off of a predetermined schedule. And then once we have all that established and we do the giant puzzle that is the master schedule, then we start scheduling with seniors, and hopefully we're going to get all their, what they want, their first choices first, and then move to juniors and so on and so forth. So our master schedule changes every year based on interest of students and the needs that we have. So, which is
Do you have
kind of
a
unique.
software program that does that for you, or is it all by hand, kind of?
Both, yeah. There's the software program, Teacher Ease will, once we've created the master, Teacher Ease can then take their course requests and just kind of, here's their schedule. But we have to double check all that too. But as far as the master, we do that. We go lock ourselves in a room.
I was going to say, how long does it
I
take?
do have pictures. It takes quite a while. We used the conference room here last year. We used Mr. Cedam's bulletin board in there, and we put a post-it note for every class that needs to be offered. We draw a giant spreadsheet on the board and start sticking, trying to make sure there's a study hall every period, trying to make sure we have at least 2 or 3 teachers with a prep every period, trying to make sure that then after we get it all done, then we look at, okay, how many offerings are there for freshmen this period? Do we have enough places for them? Do we have enough seats for them? Do we have, and just, I love it because I'm a puzzle person, and it was just all, yeah.
We try to run, like while we sit there, we try to run through like different types of students, like
Yep.
those that take AP.
Yep.
Are they still gonna be able to, you know what I mean, and try and map it out so that there's not major conflicts for any particular group of students, like, band or whatnot.
We try not to schedule single section courses, so any course that only meets once, on top of other single section courses that students want to take both of. So inevitably, there's usually 1 or 2 students that, get impacted and they have to do something different. But again, we try to, especially like AP courses, we'll look at, all right, well, we can't put chemistry and bio in the same period because we've got 3 kids that want to do both of those and we don't want to do that to those kids. So then we'll, so it's not perfect, but we try to accommodate, as many students as we possibly can. So that's part of the reason why registration happens so early, is that we have to get all that information so we can build the master schedule. And then our goal is always to have schedules in student hands before they leave for the summer, which we did last year, so that was awesome.
Good, well, thank you. Action items, 8.1, semi-annual update for the press policies. Is that 117 and 116?
Correct.
And Julie, you voiced a concern.
Yeah. And I'm sorry it was so late, but I just realized that, well, it just happened in January, so I don't know if you want me to voice that for people who weren't able to read the email ahead of time.
Was everybody able to read the email? question I have, they send out these press policies,
Yeah.
and we're kind of like, you kind of blanketly approve them because the state's telling us this is how you have to handle this policy. So I would have to assume that if these court cases came down, that the next press policies that come out will address that and take it down. I have a hard time voting against adopting press policies that the state's telling us we should adopt because it's a precedent I don't know that I want to set, but I mean, just one board member, so I don't know how everybody else feels, but I would suggest we adopt it and then the state will come in and make those changes, I would assume, if it's relevant. But anybody else have any opinions one way or the other? Because we're gonna vote on it, so we can vote on each one individually. Is it 16 and 17? So we can.
I assume it was together in the motion.
It is in the motion, that's true.
It's 16.
But we can pull out. Could you pull out one?
Yeah.
And then do
16 is only Title IX.
Yeah.
That's all it is. There's no other policies in it. And it had come out, and then they had it came out first. Then on August 15th, they had a webinar about it. And I went through that webinar. And even then, they were saying, you might not want to approve these until you talk to your school attorney. And then the very next day, August 16th, then the judge said, okay, it's on hold until final decision is made. So then these Title IX regulations were on hold. And then January 9th, now it's struck down nationwide. And so you're approving something that has been struck down by a court already. And it is not allowed to be implemented anywhere in the country.
So then, I guess I'm just worried that are we setting ourselves up, if the court struck it down, if we approve it, we can't override what the court's done, so it would nullify whatever we approve based off of, I don't know, this is the first time. And has the state sent anything out that says don't approve 117?
I got an email yesterday from the Robbins, the lawyer law firm. Yeah, Robin Schwartz, and they were saying, okay, here's how things are gonna get impacted, but.
Did they say not to approve it? I didn't see
I
that.
think that one was about the executive orders.
That's been my approach in the past too, is just, again, totally up to you guys. My recommendation is to approve press policies as they come through the Illinois Association of School Boards, and then they continuously update those.
Right, it's kind of like a living document.
Yeah.
Hodges, Louisi, 2024 Title IX regulations vacated by federal district court.
Are these set, do we have to approve them by a certain date? The 116, 117? But I mean.
So 17 doesn't have any of those issues in it.
Right.
Yeah, January 9th, Hodges, Louisi sent that out.
When we have an issue, we've had a couple of these issues come up this fall. And when I talk to our attorney, their first question is what is your Title IX policy? What was the last date that was updated? Because they do have clients that have chosen not to move forward with regulations. So then they give us guidance based upon whatever you guys choose to do.
But no matter what we do with this, the courts have struck it down. So if
Our attorney will recommend we follow federal law.
Right, so if an issue comes up, we will end up handling it the way federal law.
That's what I would anticipate. Because if federal law is in conflict with your
Yeah.
school policy.
Federal law is
Yeah,
the
federal
same
law
as state
wins.
law. Yeah.
Same as state law. Yeah, up to you guys.
I would entertain a motion to approve the press policies as presented. Vote on it and see how it falls. So I'll move to accept the press policy semi-annual update second reading as presented.
I'll second.
Are you specifying both?
That's
I
my
did, but if
interpretation.
you wanna,
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
use, just so it's in the.
okay,
I know
yeah,
which one you were
press
doing.
policies 117 116 and 117. So better do a roll call just in case it's close. We could do voice, but.
Munson,
No.
Nelson,
No.
Smock,
Yes.
Wagner,
No.
Yes.
Yates, Lower.
Yes.
So motion does not carry. So, okay.
I move to approve press policy issue number 117 as presented.
All right. Nelson second.
And can you say that again? That was for press.
Policy
Press
117.
policy 117.
Issue 117.
So, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
My approach, unless you guys instruct me different, will bring the next set of updates, first read in June, final approval in July. We'll just get in that June, July, December, January.
All right, 8.2, Illinois Vision 2030.
This was a discussion item last week. Would just recommend that the board approve the Vision 2030 resolution, as other school districts are doing around the state. The three priorities are future-focused learning, shared accountability, and predictable funding. It's only, yeah, it's like a
Sarcasm
resolution
comes
to,
out.
yeah.
Well, it's predictable. It's
predictable.
unpredictable.
Yes,
It's
it's
predictably
It's
unpredictable.
predictable.
All right. I would entertain a motion to approve the Illinois Vision 2030 resolution.
I will approve the Illinois Vision 2030 resolution. Second.
All right. Munson, motion, Yates, second. And this isn't money tied to it or anything, right? So we can voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I just want to say how thankful I am for Jason's motions. You do it correctly and probably right.
All right, motion carries on Illinois Vision 2030. 8.3, high school renovation.
I'm just texting Kat to let her know where we are.
Oh.
In the meeting. Should be in Henderson County Hawks, no right now. Okay, this is the same slide as last month. So those are kind of the summary of the two options. The benefit of making a selection tonight is then we have a clear path forward with regards to all the informational items and renderings that we put together for the referendum issue. Should be buildings and grounds.
Oh, there's a separate building grounds. All right. So we discussed at the building and grounds meeting both options and positives and negatives to both options of just doing phase one and renovating the existing classroom space gives us more classrooms, but it also leaves us pretty open to additional construction costs with the window lintels, the same problem that we ran into when we did the gymnasium renovation. We thought it was gonna be pretty easy, and it turned out to be a nightmare. And so, with those lintels, I know we ran into the problem, they took some bricks out of the gym to look to see how many they thought they'd have to replace and what it would take, and it totally blew that budget out of the water when we got to it. So I know that's, most of us on the Building and Grounds Committee, that was our biggest concern, is what are they gonna find when they start doing that remodel? And once you're committed, and we kind of have a pretty tight budget as it is. So the Building and Grounds recommendation was to move forward with phase 1 and 2, and then demolish the existing classroom wing once that's complete. But that was our recommendation, but vote on it tonight. See where it falls. It was a great idea. It would be awesome to have all those different classrooms. I think we were all kind of scared as to what that budget might come in, and plus the longer duration for disruption for a construction cycle. It's going to be a nightmare anyway, so I'm trying to manage it.
I had asked last meeting, so does the renovation numbers that Greg gave you not include that? Things you mentioned in the whole classroom?
It did not.
Nobody knew last time?
Did not include the, I think we asked, and they didn't really say. We didn't really, I'm highly doubting that that every window was, every bank of windows was included. That would have been, they would have called that out. They did not. I didn't think we had it.
That was my interpretation too. It wasn't itemized, and he couldn't answer directly whether it was or wasn't. So he would have known whether or not he made it in there. Is my interpretation.
Especially since we just asked them to kind of budget it. Any other discussion?
I would just assume, I would think that if you're gonna renovate, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's exterior, so it's structural, and just like the gym, we were changing out windows, and that's when they found out the problems with the lintels above the windows in the gym, was when they pulled those windows out, and they're like, oh, and you can't see it until you get that stuff out, so I don't, I mean, there's a lot of what ifs on that project moving forward, but again, we can vote on it and see where it falls.
Yeah, the problem with it is, you almost have to assume it's gonna turn out to something.
Same age, same bricks.
Or they may uncover other unknowns. That's the scary part with renovation. It's gonna be noisy and cumbersome anyways, having a construction on site, having it in the exact same thing. Students are going to school for a longer duration of time as well.
I can make the motion then I would move to move forward with the high school renovation plan of including phase 1 and phase 2 for the referendum purposes.
I'll second.
Roll, roll call vote.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smock,
Yes.
Wagner,
No,
Yates,
Yes.
Lower,
Yes.
Munson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-1. 8.4 capital improvement planning.
Okay, basically asking for the board to approve the subscription to INGIS. It's $4,700 in year one. That's a $1,000 one-time setup fee with a $3,700 subscription. Basically, it gives us the ability to upload, it'll just be two-dimensional, models of our buildings. We can add some pictures of our various, parts of our infrastructure. Include lifespan, so that we can see where we're at with regards to health, life, safety items. And it comes with work orders and task management. So we can enter an item in the system, a maintenance item that needs to be tackled, and then when it's tackled, they can check it off. Track it. It's just a good way to stay organized.
So this would basically be those binders that Barb put together 4
Yeah.
years ago, but digitally?
Pretty much, yeah. Digital bar binder.
To remind us.
I have it.
Those things, there's so much information in those. Yeah.
So, Mr. Parker, the sheet that you had after the meeting in New Boston, it had a list of things that would be accomplished that would be similar to the software that you do with the software.
Yeah.
So, where is that where do I find that list? And
Punch list?
yeah, well, yeah, you had certain people assigned to do certain tasks. How's that coming since you knew that was what needed fixed?
I have to.
Is that belongs to punch list items for the building?
Yeah.
I think it was in general on several things, but he had put people's names beside him, and I kind of indicated to him that it would be more effective if they had this needs done by date, so it would be active. Because even with software, it's just information. It gets you nothing without ambition. And I'm just guessing that if you looked at that sheet, there's probably not a lot happening.
I would disagree.
Okay, well, where is it?
I can get you that information. I don't have it on details.
Okay.
And the reason I would disagree is because most of that's a punch list item for First Builders, our contractor for Apollo and Boston. And they did a handful of items over Christmas break.
I don't remember seeing them on there a lot. I knew you had Mike DeFreeze on there a lot, you had Doug on there a lot. And I tried to find that document today and couldn't. Perfect.
It's a breather, it's a breathing document for us.
What's that?
It's ever changing. Maybe ever changing. Something is done, take it off, something else on.
Is it just an Excel document right now? Or?
No, I think it's Word doc.
Okay.
It's just a document, they would say what needed fixed and who was going to do it. And then I sent an email saying this would be more effective if it had a date, because there's so many things within this whole district that just does not get done. And so if you have a completion date, people have a little more initiative to get going.
Oh, in Doug's defense, there's so, especially this time of year and then when the hot weather hits, his time can get just buried with HVAC, chasing classrooms that are cold, chasing classrooms that are hot. Right now in this weather, so making sure everything's working so people don't have any freeze.
I just don't know how $3,700 a year for information is gonna get us anywhere.
Boy, I mean, it's totally up to you guys what you wanna do. To me, it's gonna help a lot with long-term planning and task management. It's all there together. And with more, there'll be more information there than what we have. Capture the story nicely. There it is right now.
I think we've had something similar, just in ticketing systems and different things like that. It really allows you at the end of the year to look at the data and see where you need to invest money to fix bigger problems, whether it's chasing around things like HVAC or whatever it might be, where you can make decisions based on where people put their time and hours.
So will this it'll show, like if you go into it or the board requested, can we see the open tickets? See the
Should be able
tickets
to.
that are
Should be able to
completed
run reports off.
and see how maybe long the ticket's been open and stuff like that. Cause that's,
I would see that software as effective only if every teacher and every person that worked in culinary or anything could add to that and say, this is what we need, their own requisitions for this is what we need for our room. And if they could put those in there and you could see on there visibly, the board would be able to view how long have these items been sitting.
with that approach, I see where you're coming from, but I think it should be, I should be the one that enters tasks into the system that enters personnel. And we should get, requests from buildings, as principals have done in the past, request information from their staff, what their requests are for their particular space.
Some requests are easily taken care of, some are not, some are $500, some are $500,000, so it kinda, it's,
Our goals, our objective is the same.
But in store, like, you have the age of roofs in different sections, and then store age of any large equipment.
and monitors and stuff, so then when we have changeover, cause right now, I mean, Doug knows so much about our stuff that nobody else knows. You know, so that's where I see it being extremely beneficial. We had another, anytime somebody moves on or leaves the district, you lose some of that information, so.
Some of it's location based, like if you're burying something underground and you can take pictures and upload them at the time that you're doing it. Because a lot of times the people that were involved in it aren't around when you gotta do something with that area, if he knows what's there.
And they can put information back in it, so key tasks, the solutions, things like that.
That's a good question, I
And
don't know.
that's helped us a lot in
That's
terms of turnover and stuff like that. We document what happened, even if there's no turnover. 2 years later, the same thing happens. You can search it. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't take a week.
So I entertain a motion to move forward with the I Am Fish subscription.
I move to approve the IMGIS subscription.
Motion. I'll second. Roll call?
Smock.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Lower.
Yes.
Munson.
Yes.
Nelson.
No.
Motion carries 5-1. 8.5, McBride Dual Enrollment Program.
Okay, from my perspective, from a curricular standpoint, our biggest curricular void is IT, computer science. This is an innovative opportunity to jumpstart that pathway and to partner with high-tech small town, right? Some of the primary purposes, IT and computer science skill provides us an opportunity to reduce brain drain. These are jobs, a lot of jobs that folks can be remote. They can stay in Alito and make good money. A lot of more high-paying jobs require kids to leave and relocate, or leave Alito to get higher education, many of which don't return. If we move forward with this, we would launch an information or an IT pathway for kids. We would add a stackable post-secondary option to the course catalog. I say stackable because it's approached a little bit differently than the traditional, four-year college, Blackhawk College semester-based course. These are 8-week courses. As you complete courses and as you complete blocks of courses and pathways, then they can stack on top of one another. The capstone learning target for this program would be, in Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, is it CompTIA or do they say CompTIA?
It's CompTIA.
CompTIA, all right. Is CompTIA certification. So the goal of enrolling in this pathway, completing this coursework is to get certified. And have not only the certificate, but the certification With DeVry in particular, their current partnerships, they have 2 with high schools. They have Chicago Public Schools that they've been in a 20-year partnership with. That program with CPS is an associate's degree program to which DeVry claims they have a 90+% success rate. They sent a couple kids to Stanford this last fall out of that program. And then they have a relationship with DeKalb County Schools in Atlanta, Georgia. The format would be 2 live lectures on camera each week. The times and days would be collaboratively planned. We would need, according to the current terms, we would need at least 12 students enrolled in order to have our own course with our own instructor. Right now, we would have to have 12 students enrolled in order to have our own instructor.
Okay.
Our own course. Anything less than that, according to the current terms, our students would be enrolled in a college course with other college students. The office hour, in addition to the 2 live lectures on camera each week, their instructor would have office hours throughout the 7-day week, so weekend office hours as well. What we're targeting is the Programming Essentials Certificate. 7 courses, 22 credit hours. This agreement with DeVry, they would be charging the district $250 per credit hour, which would equate to $5,500 per student for the year if they were working to complete all those courses by the end of next school year, which they could do. Structure and set up to where they could do that, or they could go a slow pace. DeVry would invoice the district. My approach or my recommendation would to have the student have some skin in the game, and we would determine whatever that price might be. Ideally, we would work to, correspond with what we charge students to take a Blackhawk course. I would recommend we look at that, and there's a chance that we might provide additional incentive for students to enroll in this pathway so we can capability. And then high-tech, small-town student scholarships will be available. Verbal commitment from high-tech, small-town here in Aledo to provide some kind of seed money to help students take courses that they can't afford, whatever the district decides is their portion of the course. There are prerequisites, 2.5 GPA at the end of 10th grade, strong attendance record with good behavior, and then those things would kind of be defined by us, but we've got guidance from DeVry as to what they typically define as strong attendance and good behavior. They would have to pass the AccuPlacer with a standard placement in reading, writing, and math. They would get 2 attempts, and DeVry would provide a tutoring opportunity between tries if needed. The primary target for this are students that have voiced that they do not intend to go to a four-year institution, or they just are passionate about computer science and they want to do work in that area. Right now, as far as a computer science kid, we don't have a lot of opportunities for them from a curricular standpoint. Any curricular opportunities we do have are kind of the standard format, standard length. So, with that, I mean, I have had several conversations with our high school staff. I understand reservation, from our high school administrative team and counselors. They're unsure whether or not we're ready, to deploy. Also unsure whether or not DeVry is the right option. I understand the reservation and the hesitation. I have confidence that we can make it work. And we've got to start somewhere. I hate the idea of not starting again. We won't have the opportunity again for another year. I come from a place where we started an IT pathway 10 years ago, and we didn't have any students. Very few students whose family members worked in IT. And we're offering it as low as 5th grade. So all 5th and 6th graders took 9 weeks of computer science. And it did not take very long for IT pathway to become one of our most popular pathways. We had an instructor.
Oh, you guys hired an internal instructor.
Which is where we would hope to get, sometime. An instructor is, is an investment. My approach is I'd like to see us start, with dipping our toes in the water and try and generate interest that way. And then, find a way to add it, so that kids will have even more opportunity and more kids will be engaged in the coursework. And they would be led by somebody local who is passionate about it. Because when all the smoke clears, it takes somebody passionate in a pathway to get excited.
You weren't able to find someone to be certified to teach high school in that area. Could you get someone with a provisional certificate?
So we had 3 instructors over that 10-year period on their 3rd right now. And all 3 of them, were like alternate pathway folks. Where they had done a lot of work in IT. Kind of file their work hours towards that license and work out a provisional until we got to the exam.
Do we have a timeline when we want to have an answer from us, DeVry?
I think that's more us than it is them. This is my perspective too. I think we want to have, if we're going to do it, we make the decision tonight. So that's part of the conversations that we're having with kids when we talk about scheduling.
So, a couple of things on the contract. Is it a 2-year contract?
It is.
Okay. I didn't understand, because it makes it sound like it's a 2-year program, but then the enrollment program talks about semester 1, semester 2. So is it a semester 1 year, semester the next year, or is it?
Students can go at their own pace, is my understanding. If you don't have the numbers to support your own instructor, then your kids have more flexibility on what route they choose. Ideally, we would have students that would choose, we could kind of do it as a cohort.
Okay.
Right?
So are we locked in if we get 0 students?
We pay 0 money.
Pay 0 money. And if we were to give the okay tonight, if working with the high school, if we determine that, hey, we don't either have the space for it, or we don't have the ability to, we're not necessarily signing a contract tonight, so you guys would be able to, as an admin team, come back and say, hey, we thought we were gonna be ready, but we're not.
I wouldn't suggest that. I'd say we either do it or we don't.
I had some concerns just with the DeVry partnership in general, just with it being a for-profit university. Essentially, when I look through the program, you come out with their certificate in the program, which means you completed something that's important, but it's not industry standard like CompTIA. But you mentioned CompTIA a lot in your certification, you mentioned the costs associated with it, and things like that. And I think that was included, your testing was included with this program. That has its own standalone learning path. It's about $1,000. That's for the full course material, 2 takes at the test, 2 shots at the test, and a practice.
That's with DeVry?
That's by the CompTIA offers that.
Oh, CompTIA is
self-paced, so
Okay.
you sign up for it, you get it, and that's an industry recognized certificate. My other issue with it is, there are options universities that already work with and have relationships. Blackhawk offers the same type of programs with CompTIA certifications at the end of it. I don't know if there's options there either. I really like the idea of a non-traditional path for computer science. I just think we should make sure we're partnering with the right university.
Yeah, I voiced my concern to Mr. Porter as well with DeVry. If you Google DeVry and lawsuits, they date back to 1990. Different things. Some of them aren't
Yeah.
anything necessarily think a lot of kids get involved in the program and don't understand that, like, it's a narrow program, and if they decide, hey, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna go to ISU, then it's like, even though you're studying computer science at ISU, those credits don't help you down there. And I'm all fine with that as long as it's all up front, that, hey, this is the limitations of the program, this is what we can get you, and if it's what you're looking for, great. But like, half the stuff you were talking about, in my head when it comes to computer science, so I don't know any of it, so I would assume a lot of parents probably would be there, but, yeah, I don't know.
So it would be on campus, and it would have to fit within our master schedule, or it wouldn't be necessarily before after school, or it would be within school day.
We looked at this like 3 years ago.
And I had asked last meeting, and I didn't know if anyone had found an answer to whether these courses are, ISB recognizes them if we give them credit towards graduation for them.
There's a crosswalk.
Because that was the problem with, we wanted to do a partnership with them, like Bill said, so 4 years ago, the problem was is they wouldn't recognize the courses.
Oh, I didn't remember why we stopped, I just remember that we
Yeah,
stopped talking about it.
because wanted to do it, sent the proposal, but ISB would not recognize the classes for credit. So if, I mean, if they're taking time out of their schedule, taking these classes, and then they don't get credit towards graduation, some of them could be up the creek, you know, I mean,
Oh,
just.
with their total credits.
So I just wanted to make sure it was something that they would get graduation credit for from state board.
That's what the bride told me that I haven't seen it, but they told me that CPS has a course,
Well,
crosswalk.
They would. Of course, they get a lot of exceptions, but the rest of us don't, so. Sorry, I'm a sarcastic Ben today, sorry.
I looked that up too, the video of us talking about it in 2021, just to see if it was the same kind of derived conversation pushed by the same tech small town
What is
group.
the high-tech small town, like, what's their role, I guess? Are they helping us to, is it, are they, what's their role?
Yeah, I'd say it's from my perspective, it's on two fronts. Providing monetary support in the form of scholarships for kids that can't, afford whatever their share is. But then it's leveraging their space. It's finding ways to leverage that space. If you've ever been in that space, the old public library, like, it's an awesome space. And to be able to get, my kind of dream, and I think the high-tech small town folks have a similar vision, is having like code camps inside there. My vision of it is if we get 2 or 4 kids, in this type of a pathway, that are, juniors or seniors in high school, then they're kind of our leaders for little kids in having these code boot camps, or just little some after school, some Saturday stuff.
So is high-tech small town, are they a business?
My understanding is it's a nonprofit. I don't know.
So are they employing the people that are up there, or, like, what do they use that space for?
My understanding, again, just giving you
Yeah.
my understanding, is.
I should know too. I think they came here.
They lease office space.
Okay.
The downstairs is like isolated offices that's all refurbished. And that's kind of the design of it, it's like shared workspace.
So companies could have a shared workspace instead of working from home, Mercer, you could work for a big corporation outside of that facility, still able to work for a big company. I don't know tech-wise that they brought out new jobs. I don't know.
Their vision.
Yeah, the vision was, I think that's my concern is, I think that's all of our legal. A lot of us know that technology is the future, and when we get more involved in the school, the question is, they were very married to DeVry back then, and they're very married to DeVry back then. I just don't understand what the push is.
Well, I would say,
towards DeVry specifically.
yeah, in full disclosure, I picked this up from just conversations that I had when I first came to town. I was shown the space and then is, you know, there had been a computer science conversation in the past, with a partnership with AI, and then I reached out to rekindle that conversation, because I was told that it went to a certain point and then it just kind of fizzled and faded.
Yeah, I wish I could remember exactly why. I don't remember the conversation about the credits, but
That's frustrating.
yeah.
My passion is about figuring out how we can afford to get something started to generate the interest that will be there once we get something started.
So that we can hire somebody and just have it in-house.
And I know that's down the road because we don't have the interest to support a full-time staff member, right? Gotta, in my view, we have to start somewhere. If this winds up not being the place that we start, we'll keep looking to try and find places to start.
Like if Blackhawk, they help us with a lot of stuff now. I don't know what type of programs they have.
Yeah.
They're usually affordable.
The only, I think, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, the only one we have someone from Blackhawk come to us is it social science stuff? That's the only one. I remember that was expensive per semester. But then does Mr. Blake still help with those fees for the kids?
Not this year.
Not this year.
The district has still held, but we've been talking about that for future years.
Because that was prohibitive for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And that dollar amount, if anybody doesn't know, is about $500 for a
Per
class.
semester.
For
Per
one
class.
semester. Yeah, that's right around.
At Blackhawk?
Yes, yes.
For them to come to us.
For the,
Yeah.
yeah, per student, so.
What other options are there?
So there are online classes you can take through Blackhawk, and that catalog is kind of expanding all the time. We do have students that utilize that. We have some students taking some speech classes and some other things. So like kind of as Jake talked about, I looked into the course number, the courses and stuff that they have. They do have IT courses. Now I don't know enough of the content to compare it exactly, you know, apples to oranges or whatever if it's, you know, but they do have IT opportunities, like you said, that would help train toward that exam as well.
They're both targeted at the exact same,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
exact same exams, I should say. Security or networking or whatever division you're going to. Is there more homework, I mean, is there any more homework we could do or any reason to make a decision now versus next month? Is it scheduling that's pushing that decision or are there more questions we can be?
To me, it's scheduling pushing the time.
When do seniors get their sign-up list?
They will get their stuff in February. Yeah, yeah. We'll start meetings in the beginning of February, every class meeting in the beginning,
Does that give us enough time to talk to Blackhawk or not?
yes, because we've already kind of started those conversations. And we can even, you know, schedule changes can always be made, right? So if this does, the decision gets made a little bit later, depending on what we do, you know, we can at least let students know when we register, when we have meetings, that, hey, we're looking at some form of IT pathway, who's interested, and then we can potentially go from there too. And, you know, if by the end of the year, hopefully we do have something worked out where we can get that started for students, whether it's this or whether it's Blackhawk, you know, that we can then make those changes at that time. So for the
class-based, but this sounds like another course offering that's not on the list we saw earlier, correct? We're about 2 years away from having a new school. If everything goes great, where do those students, whether there's 5 of them or 15 of them, where do those students learn?
And I think that's dependent upon the program that we choose and what the class looks like, right? So I would need to see if Blackhawk is, if there's asynchronous and synchronous to Blackhawk, and how we can work that out. You know, if it's all asynchronous, that makes it easier. Then we can, you know, students, we can assign them throughout the day, different periods. I know Mr. Porter mentioned that DeVry would have some in in-person or synchronous portions. So if we don't have our own classes and we're jumping in, and Blackhawk may be the same, I don't know. You know, we would just need to figure out what time of day are those, you know, what does that look like? Does that intersect between 2 class periods for our kids or 1? And how are we gonna, you know, that's all stuff that needs to be figured out, and that's kind of dependent upon the route we take and the specifications from that college or university.
Was there any kind of a commitment, Mr. Porter, from high tech small town with regards to what a scholarship would look like as far as, you know, we anticipate 10% or 5% or 50% or anything like that, or is it just?
We haven't got that far,
Just sort of
that conversation.
preliminary conversation. The price tag scares me, you know, just as a parent with this, you know, what a great opportunity. It feels like a lot of money, you know, just whether the district foots the bill or not could help, but it's still a lot of money. And that 5,500 there, that's the program essential certificate, that's the 2-semester program, it's the whole, that's like 1 year basically for different categories.
Which it's kind of, you know, on there, it's 2 years packed in.
Right, it seems like when I look at that and it says 0 to 4 months and 5 to 8 months, I go, I don't find a school year where those 2 things fit together. You know what I mean? That feels like for us, that feels like 1.5 years of schooling, you know, like junior year plus first semester senior year, or I forgot if they would be able to begin this sophomore year, or they wouldn't be eligible to completion or something.
Well, we can do it one of 2 ways depending upon interest. If it's an upcoming senior that's interested in completing the pathway, they would lock in, basically they lock into 2 hours
Okay.
of the day into this pathway.
Okay.
If it's a junior that's looking just to complete this pathway in 2 years, they would lock into
That's easy.
1 hour over 2 years. Or it could be a junior that's looking to stack something on top of this, so they might do this in year 1. Kind of the good part. So the cohort approach we found a lot of success in, you know, where you've got multiple kids kind of go through the same experience together. With our numbers being low, more than likely, you know, being less than 12, it creates a little bit of more flexibility as to when the kid gets plugged into the course, but then you lose the cohort approach, right? So one kid might be, his lecture might be on Monday, Wednesday at 9, and his classmate, her lecture might be on Tuesday and Thursday at 1. Depending on how the rest of their schedule plays out. I would, you know, if we go this route, I would propose that we build the master schedule without this, and then plug it in for the kids that want to take it after the master schedule's already developed. If that makes sense, rather than locking this into any certain hour of the day. Can you see that again?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's a fair point.
That, if the approach is to plug it in after the master schedule is done, then that gives us a little flexibility to look into DeVry versus Blackhawk versus other options, and especially in the meantime, while we put the master schedule together. And then that wouldn't affect their decision-making on the master schedule at all.
One other thing, sorry. On the high-tech small town too, I would be curious too if they would be willing to help with other pathways in terms of technology as well.
have the same like desire.
Yeah.
You gotta get something going.
So. Julie, you look like you're ready.
I move to table this, I'm sorry, I move to postpone this to the March meeting.
Thank you.
All right.
I've learned your Robert rules a little bit. Can't table it, can you?
Well, you could, but that's not really specific when it goes back up again, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a second?
I can second that.
Oh,
All right.
sorry, February. Sorry.
Okay,
This
sorry.
is February right now.
Yeah, so
Thanks.
amend that,
Yes.
amend that to
I thought
next
that's
February meeting. And so Wagner made the motion and Nelson seconded. So voice votes, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. So spoken.
Mr. Porter,
Yep.
do you think there's a chance that we can secure someone from that small town to speak to us as a group about what our relationship can look like with them? Just get someone so that we're not putting you on the spot to sort of make commitments for them that sound great to you, you know what I mean?
If we pipe somebody in.
Yeah.
Whether it's virtual or in person or something.
They did that on 2021.
Yeah.
I'd
Did you
love
watch it?
to ask
I did.
for commitments from them when.
Yeah, I think his was just a WR between a portion of the high tech school.
Better received, it's so we can sort of sell it to us, their role in it, at least their
Ask direct questions.
right.
8.6 pre-K classroom placement.
Okay, our district's most ideal pre-K through 5 scenario includes 2 fully staffed pre-K classrooms at each elementary school, balanced class sizes in all pre-K through 5 classrooms, smaller class sizes in early primary K through 2, and full-time dedicated paraprofessional support in each pre-K through 5 classroom. This is, administratively, this is what we're trying to work continuously to achieve. This is our ideal scenario. It's not unanimous, but administratively, we recommend pre-K classroom relocation to the elementary schools. With the accompanying financial results, proposed recommendations continuous work towards that most ideal scenario, and a dedication to retain the positive attributes of a center-based approach. For example, collaborative professional. This administrative recommendation includes housing the morning pre-K classroom in New Boston and the afternoon pre-K classroom at Apollo for at least the 25-26. That slide hasn't changed. This slide hasn't changed. The recommended course of action with regards to transportation is accompanied by the elimination of 2 J-bus pre-K only routes. We'll continue to study the reduction and elimination of transportation hubs and opportunities to decrease daily bus ride times. 2 and 3 will continue to do regardless of where pre-K is, right? As far as the effect on Apollo, recommended course of action, these are issues that we could work to resolve. Relocate IT headquarters, implement phase 1 of a 3-phase Apollo classroom renovation plan. Consider committing to 4 sections of early primary grades, K through 2. We would need to hire 2 full-time teachers for fall 2025 to do so. And consider committing to full-time parapro placement for sections of grades 3 through 5 with more than 25 students. Just looking at the maps, just a refresher, this is kind of what we have this year for attendance-wise in the 2024 school year. This is what we have with regards to attendance returners. Financial considerations, estimate, an annual operating savings of around $125,000. Some of those we know with precision, some of those, are estimates. The estimated cost of adding 2 full-time K through 2 teachers at Apollo would be $130,000. And then the folks at Apollo have put together a few different projected classroom scenarios based upon why the pre-K comes and we don't add any K through 2 teachers. Pre-K comes and you add a section of, have 3 sections of K to 1 or 3 sections of K 1 and 2.
When I'm looking at your map here, what is each one of those dots just one kid?
It's a household, so it could be more than 1 kid. Predominant
Pre-K households?
Yeah.
So
Pre-K.
the majority of them are in Joy and Keysburg, it looks like then?
No.
I mean, Aledo has a big group, and
Yeah.
then, but there's very few that are around New Boston area.
Correct. Yeah.
3, it looks like.
So you probably have, it looks like maybe there's 1 more in Joy than there is in New Boston. You know, so you got 3 in New Boston, 4
Well,
in
you got
Joy.
1 in New Boston, it looks like, and then 2 outside of town.
Yeah, so if you consider it that.
Depends on how
New Boston.
thin you're slicing the pie.
All right. So you go kind of 3, 4, 5, right? And you got 4 of them in Eliza.
I can't see, I can't get this thing stretched out. It looks like there's only 4 there, and Joy, is that right?
Yep. 5 down in Keysburg.
Good one, good, I guess. I've been messing with this thing. Ever since I said, now, you gotta have to show me something, because this thing's, there's all this old stuff that's right next to new stuff. It's driving me insane.
High tech will be your next.
High-tech smoke, that will get you
Well, I'm
rolling.
trying to figure out when you got things in order here, and there's a
Put it in the ticket.
2019 on the next line down from 2025.
Oh, and you're
That's,
in
that
the
makes no
folder?
sense to me. Why is it in the folder like that? I'll show you.
Yeah.
It's probably operator error, but it drives me crazy. I work with things that are easy.
Analog, Don is an analog guy and a digital
Chainsaw.
So I guess from my perspective, the decision that you have tonight is, do you keep preschool down in Joy, or do you have preschool classrooms to go to, back to the elementaries? And then depending on that decision, to me, there's another decision that you could give guidance on, and that is to how many, whether we look to add 1, 2, or 0 early primary teachers at Pollock.
In this setup, if we send the pre-Ks to their respective corners of the district, we'll have one staff member that's kind of doing the float, right? And time-wise in the classroom, what do you expect the impact of that to look like on the day?
Becky, you want to refresh my memory on that?
So our half-day is currently a 3-hour program. I think if we're expecting somebody to travel, we would reduce that to a 2.5. 2.5 is the minimum we can have for our half-day program.
So 1 class, 1 half hour a day, or 2 classes, 1 half hour each?
So there's a morning 2.5 hour
Okay.
at
So
New
there-
Boston,
we
and then
net loss of
Apollo.
1 hour a day across 2 different groups of kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So the half-day kids would lose a half hour a day.
Right. Each class.
Welcome.
There's it.
Is it snowing?
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Is there a requirement for motor skills, like a time that they actually have motor skill time for that age group? Because I felt like somebody told me there was.
Yes, there is.
How long is that?
So 45 minutes minimum.
So 45 minutes of this
Yeah.
instructional time is now comes to riding a bicycle. Or
It could be, yeah,
Mo-
going
any motor
outside,
skills,
yes.
but as
yes.
far as instructional time, you're gonna lose a lot of instructional time with that driving. And then you're still required to meet the standards of motor skills and other things, and that has to come out of that time that you're left. Is there anything else required besides that?
So for our half day, I think it's 30 minutes. Our full day is a minimum of 45 for the motor time, and it can be split up too. It doesn't have to be in a chunk.
And that's part of the standards that they have, right?
Yeah, it's part of that orders.
So lack of instructional time by splitting that up, adds up to how much?
Half hour a day.
And we are offering breakfast and lunch to our half day. We don't have to do that. we are doing that just because of the amount of time they're on the bus.
For the AM half day.
Yes. So part of our time is eating during that 3 hours too.
So in your opinion, does that support, like, is that the best interest of the kids to lose that instructional time at that young age?
The hard part is if they're getting the special ed services, because they're being pulled for those services too. So then you have 2.5 hours where they're gonna have to receive maybe their occupational therapy, speech therapy, and things like that. So it does reduce
That
some
even-
time, yes,
Was even reduced more than that.
yes.
And I feel like at the last meeting when we had someone from the Y speaking.
Yeah.
They did some kind of placement where if they had those special needs, they came to you to provide them where they didn't
Yes. it's a-
provide those services. So
Right, they can't provide those
you are the
services, they
primary
don't.
provider for the health for special needs.
Right, yes.
What's the percentage?
And there's trade-offs to both, you know, there's pros and cons to both, right? So we could, there was a good outline of what we will lose for our half-day kids and moving the kids to the elementary. What we would gain would be funds to give us additional support at early primary, at all, in my view.
So what do you call an early primary? What
K for kids.
K1 and 2. Okay, so 2 meetings ago, there was concern by a parent teacher that the second grade had the classrooms was too big. And so.
Third grade.
Okay, third grade. Okay,
I know.
so. It was one, no problem. And I felt like at that meeting, there was a offer of an extra teacher to Chad, and the comment was that they really don't have room for that. And so we're now gonna move 2 pre-K classrooms to Apollo, and it's not a secret to anybody that Alito is going to grow, and their population will grow, and Apollo will be coming at us for more room in the future. Well, you better hope there's finances for it, because they're trying to build a high school.
Wait, why is it all me?
Well, I don't, you're the one that offering up, I hope so.
No, I just hope enrollment continues to climb. We've got to set up, you know, to where, what we want to do is structure something long-term, right? Whatever we do, we want it to be long-term. And we want it to try and address as many of the issues that we know we have. With that issue, you know, that you expressed, Lori, being one. You know, right now, the approach at Apollo is just to add that fourth section based upon the number of kids that enroll in kindergarten. So we're always, when we get a big group, I would assume, I haven't been here for it, but you're chasing down somebody once you see what the numbers are. And then if you add somebody, which I think we did maybe 2 years ago, for a fourth section, then you're making a decision on whether or not that teacher goes from kindergarten to first grade. And next year, you're making a decision on whether or not that teacher goes from first grade to second grade, and so on and so forth. So my objective is to try and take care of as many issues, as many pain points as we can at the same time, anytime we look to make a change. You know, in change, there comes opportunities, is the way that I see it. If you can tackle known issues while you're making a change, then you won't have as many issues to tackle down the road.
I had 2 questions. One was related to what Mr. Peak said about the morning. So with the morning having the breakfast and the lunch, does the afternoon also have a lunch? Or
Yes.
They do.
Yes. So the full day we're required to provide that, but our half day we aren't. We just do because of the amount of time they spend on the bus.
But then with the breakfast being for the morning session, does the morning necessarily then become shorter than the afternoon in a 2 half day? Not necessarily. Or
No,
Okay.
as long as we don't offer breakfast in the morning, yeah.
But
Right.
are they currently taking breakfast in that 2 or 3 hour time period?
Yes, they have the option to, not all
Yeah.
students eat.
I guess my second thing is, if you're gonna be putting so many miles between the 2 different classrooms, how do you spread it out so that if you have a concentration of kids with special needs in one location or the other, how are you able to overcome that and not concentrate, one teacher with wants to dedicate their time to for special needs, and then maybe in the other location there isn't that issue, and we would be like spreading it out evenly to all the teachers in the district.
The only way to do that is moving an elementary boundary. Currently, there is an elementary boundary that determines where kids go to school. We listed that as one of the cons.
The con,
you
yeah.
know, of moving kids back to the elementary, and there you do run that risk of this year there's a, you know, maybe for these 2 years, there's a high concentration of high need kids in the school. Next year, there's a high concentration of high needs kids.
Because that can be, I mean, you just got one teacher and you're dealing, you'll add pairs, I assume, to help with that, but.
You're right.
And I think I've emailed all of you before, and if not, I think I mentioned last meeting, I really don't like splitting them up if you don't have both morning and afternoon half days at both locations. I mean, you're locking one side of the district into one time slot without the option of this other time slot, you know, happens on both ends. And, you know, with this plan, Alito wouldn't be able to have any morning pre-K, half day pre-K, and New Boston wouldn't have an option for an afternoon half day. I don't know if that makes a difference to parents.
How do we do it before?
I mean, there's just both.
How do we do it before we consolidated,
Well, I think when my kids were at New Boston, they had a morning and an afternoon, both.
We only had the one full day pre-K, which was housed in Joy, because I operate our junior high, I also operate our full day pre-K for the district.
But that wasn't always like that.
Well, no, we didn't have it at all.
We didn't
Or
have
the
a
full
full-time,
day, it
full day
was just a
pre-K, we
morning,
only had half
yeah.
days. Was that
We had a half day at each spot.
At each spot, and the full day
And the
that I
full
had
day
at
in
Joy
Joy.
at junior high.
That's right.
Yep.
Thank
And it
you.
balances
I couldn't remember.
Special ed, like you were talking about, you gotta think your pre-Ks at each spot is only one full day pre-K, where you have 3 kindergartens and 3 of those are spread. kids
Yeah,
out.
that's right.
It's pretty good. Because you're not gonna, they're all in, you're all across all of them, full day classroom. You only have the intersection.
What's your guys' fancy? Would you
I
like-
don't know how to solve all the problems.
We'll never solve them all, you know, we just try and solve as many as we can.
I really hate walking away from that building with 3 very, very large and nice classrooms to create some problems. And it doesn't really solve a lot. I just don't think we gain enough out of that to warrant doing that. I've talked to several teachers. They're all very happy with where they're at. They're very upset about this. I haven't heard any of them that want to drive from one school to the other. I haven't heard anything positive about any of that move. And I think it's a mistake. I'm sitting right by it. I'm not have to change again. Next time I sit by you.
All right. I'm just gonna have everyone over here.
And we're-
Is there concerns, we talked about maintenance, some maintenance concerns. I mean, long term, isn't there concern for those classrooms and stuff?
Have you seen those classrooms? They're so cute. I mean, if you went into those classrooms, Jake, they are phenomenal. And as far as like what they've done in Joy, it's almost, do you remember back when they first came up with the computer and it took a whole room and all of a sudden now they can hold them in our hand? That's what the boiler system looks like in that building. They've done nothing. And you can buy a boiler system now. You could set it on the table. They're efficient, they're effective. You know, they just haven't done anything to help themselves out. You know, but to walk away from that building, an $8 million gym, 3 classrooms that are honestly really, really nice. The staff down there, they are the highest level of protection those kids you can imagine. I mean, they're just phenomenal. And to walk away from that, I think is just a bad mistake. You know, and if you're gonna walk away from an $8 million gym and 3 classrooms and then look at a board and say, hey, taxpayers, we want you to kick some money to us, it's gonna be a hill.
I know,
not right now, but there's phase 3 on that new high school they have planned, and the public is gonna look at that, and I just think you're creating a bad road it's gonna be a rough, rocky road. You know, you can do it, you can, I mean, we can do it as a board, but I think it's gonna create more problems than you would even anticipate. And I understand, Mr. Parker, that you're all for that, I get it, it's just, I'm the opposite on the road on that.
No, I respect that. I think, you know, the counter to that is I do think you can get some street cred for operational savings. We're asking for funding for capital improvement, to show good effort in trying to.
Whatever capital savings you would plan, you already spent it, 'cause you're gonna give Apollo 2 more teachers. That's gonna flat at that point, right?
It would, yeah.
But it is something that's unique.
Something.
Correct.
I mean, we're probably gonna have to, I was gonna say that's one thing we're probably gonna
Correct,
have
I'm
to
just
look
saying,
at
you
doing.
can't call it savings when you're.
I understand your point, Lori, yeah. you're
Oh, yeah,
right.
no,
But
I'm not
it's-
disagreeing with that.
It's,
Because if we can.
Apologies if
we're gonna probably need to add teachers there anyway, yeah.
I'm assuming it's still a part of the evidence-based funding model that there's a smaller class sizes, you get more funding, you get. I mean, I think is that still the case? Or is that?
The
Like
smaller you get, the
Like
more.
if you can get it under 18 or under, then you get credits or whatever in the formula. I mean, that's been a long time ago since they started it,
Yeah.
but I was pretty sure that was one of the things that got you
That's
extra
kinda
credit.
counterintuitive, because.
Well, they want you to have smaller class size, so they're willing to
Right.
fund it.
But some schools just have no kids in them, so their class sizes are small. It has nothing to do with that they're.
Well, I think they base it district-wide,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, I see.
Their goal is to give you a funding incentive to make your class sizes small. My niece had a class size, like 15.
I think it still is true.
Because they wanted to, they just put them on.
Yeah, I think it still is. Because then to your point too, Bill, they were trying to help fund those schools that have smaller per pupil income
Yeah,
coming in.
because it
like,
still
you know.
takes the same amount of money to educate
Yeah.
kids, whether you got 15 or 20.
I'll make a motion to keep them enjoy where they are at.
Motion by Nelson, second by Wagner. Roll call.
Yates.
Yes.
Balmer. Lower.
No.
Munson.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Smock.
No. So motion carried 4-3, correct?
Wagner.
Oh,
Yeah, you
shit.
forgot to let Wagner
Forget
go.
about my desk,
Oh,
mate.
I'm sorry. I thought you already, sorry.
No, yes.
Sorry. So motion carries 4-3 to keep the ELA in, correct? I just wanted to make sure on the carry, because
4-3, yes.
the motion went opposite of the recommendation, so I just
Right.
wanted to make sure that everybody's.
That happens at the delegates.
Yeah, I know, which is good, I mean, that's fine, I just wanna make sure everybody understands. Alright, administrative reports.
Okay, I'll start with just from the district standpoint, referendum information sharing. On the slide, you can see we have 3 community informational sessions scheduled. February 22nd at Eliza Community Center, March 4th at New Boston Elementary, March 20th at the high school cafeteria. You can kind of see what would be, potentially the front and back of a, some type of a postcard, we can distribute for informational purposes. With the 3, kind of items that we're focusing on: safety and security, classroom enhancements, and building modernization. So those are scheduled. 3 focal points are kind of established. This was with work session with the Exchange Club is also scheduled. And then we're working with the architect on 3 informational mailers. That would be a quick fax postcard, kind of what I just demonstrated, an informational newsletter that would have like more renderings and information and stuff like that, and then a reminder to vote, postcard closer to election day. Leanne set up a referendum webpage for us, and Mr. Long set up an email address for us, so we've got that as a placeholder on our website.
It's live.
It's live. It just says nothing now. But it's, as a placeholder, at least we've got a spot where we can direct QR codes to. The QR code in this coming Eagle Eye, which will be distributed, we anticipate the first week of February, will have a QR code that will take folks to the referendum site, and it'll have a quick little, hey, please vote, mark your calendars, April 1st. So moving forward with a lot of work. Gray has been really good to work with. They have a very good team. I do want to give a shout out to the design team. Administrators as well, when we started this work to try and like unify some things and brand some branding across the district, which is one of our district goals. We have a hex color code for gold and blue that I was able to share with the marketing team so that the blue that they use doesn't look purple. And it is the blue that we use. So shout out to our admin for starting that process and our design team for following through. Other parts, is my last piece as far as the district administration is concerned. We do have a potential partnership to relocate the Brown House structure. I'll let Bill talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Kyle McEwen had reached out to us. This goes back to when we were acquiring the house. He reached out to Scott at the time about repurposing that house and moving it to another place. And we've talked about that, right, as a board? We haven't? Okay, so we must not have. All right. Well, I know Scott and him had talked, so there's interest in them taking that off our hands and just taking the house. So I guess maybe we should make that an information item next month. And
They want to take it apart, or they want to
they're gonna move it up,
Jack it up, move it.
So, but yeah, that's. I mean, that's.
It'll
But
save us a little bit of money.
for some reason, I had thought. I know Scott had told me about it, but then he left and did all that stuff. So it must not have gotten. We must not have talked about it. So we will make it an informational item next month, and then they're not going to want to move it in the winter anyway. So it's going to be good. Yeah. I don't know if it's empty. They're gone.
We have ownership of it.
There is no. The front door is gone, right?
Yeah, they took,
There's a piece of
it
plywood
had
up there.
Yeah, it had sentimental value to it. So Doug put a piece of plywood over it. Maybe they might have.
We hadn't talked about it in a couple meetings, so I thought surely they're gone now.
He has talked about.
They're very good to work with. I mean, some of you guys know them way better than I do. Very good people to work with. Very appreciative of the board for being flexible with us.
So it's Mercer County Better Together, and what they're looking to use it for is short-term emergency housing. So if you have a family displaced by fire or something like that, then they could. And we want that property, but not necessarily the house. So he had reached out to Scott. What are you guys going to do with that? Scott was like, tear it down. He's like, hold on. So that ball kind of got dropped. So we'll talk about it next month. And I'll see if Kyle can give us a little one shot that I can present to you guys there. All right.
Do you think we should mention it to everyone at the finance meeting December, the things that Tim King told us about how we as board members are to act
yeah, I was
about a
gonna ask.
referendum,
Do
the
you-
limitations.
Do you have bullets that you would, I don't have anything prepared.
Just, as a board and as individual members, we are not to advocate one way or the other, yes or no.
As an individual.
Yeah, we're not even supposed to participate in the referendum
says,
Yeah.
just so that we all have it, so we don't, nobody makes it, because I don't think any of us want to.
Right.
Yeah, but we're not supposed to be on like committees, like, you know, if there's a community
Vote
group
yes
that's,
committee.
a vote yes committee, then we can't help them in planning or spreading the word or anything like that. We can't put it on our social media, we can't do anything like that, either side.
So those meetings that are happening, those three that are.
Those are
scheduled,
informational.
Right.
And
Are
then the
we
community
allowed
would have
to be at
to-
those, or should we stay clear of those? Should it just be.
Let me,
canvas
let me put a
rather
one, I'll start with that IASB doc, and I'll share that with Tim King, and have his eyes put on it, add, subtract, and then we'll have a one pager.
Okay.
Cause there, we'll need to do the same thing for staff too, so we know.
I think they have a little more flexibility than board members do, but I'm not sure. I think staff, because when we did the 1 cent sales tax, it was the staff getting behind it that I think actually made it pass. I don't know if anybody was here that remembers that, but I remember going into WRTA to get school board ads done, and staff was in there getting ads done for the 1 cent sales tax at the same time, so I think they have a lot more leeway than we do.
I thought the salary was low because it was questionable whether they were actually happy, because their salary was technically always never.
It's
So
Illinois
I
Council of School Attorneys, I think, is the one that has to tell us what to do.
The actual.
Just figure out what you wanna do and call an attorney until they tell you. In the admin reports, any quick hits? Becky for ELC?
I hope you enjoyed the pictures of our holiday concert. It was a great turnout, and our students, even though we never all get to practice together, they always do just a phenomenal job, and it was really cute. And then Santa and Mrs. Claus are always there for us to take pictures, and then we had a little craft for families to do with gingerbread houses.
It was
so.
pajama day,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, they wear their pajamas, so
How awesome is that?
it was a fun night. So.
Mr. Robertson, any quick hits or comments?
Yeah, I guess our Christmas program is locked in, and I thank Mrs. Reed for her hard work and the students. We did get a $500 milk donation, so thank you community for that. And then we've had some retired teachers that come in and help read and do some interventions with students, which is great. So we're very thankful for that. And Dr. Hayes from Aledo came to talk to our third graders about eyes and ophthalmology.
Where'd you get your suit?
My staff purchased that for me.
Nice, I like it.
Obliged and-
I like it.
Should
Yeah,
Hopefully
the
that's
shoes-
not in every holiday for you.
The shoes fit.
Yeah.
Dr. Ivan, any quick hits, boss?
Nothing fun, I guess. But except, we had math testing for kindergartners to get them used to it, so we didn't know what to expect or all of this. But the scores, in looking at them, pretty impressed for kindergarten. We get some very high learners in there. So we definitely need to have discussions on bringing that since we get to the program. We're spread really thin. So
I love problems like that.
Yeah.
Very excited about it.
Mr. CDM?
I would give the highlight from like the holidays to limited time in school in January. This is always our lowest report. Besides June. The last day before break, we had a big incentive for our kids too, with, they have to do certain academics, attendance, and behavioral things involved. It's all student led from our student center that comes up with a plan, and they again that day, and we don't do anything standing. It's just a free student opportunity.
Mrs. Dornan or Mrs. Cooper, anything for the high school?
You already brought attention to, we were really excited about our data from, our failing data from last semester, last year to this year to be down 27%. Awesome. And the discipline data too, we talked about it at our last Wednesday meeting, kind of had the staff get in groups and talk about what do they attribute that to, what do they attribute that to, what are we still doing, what can we do better? And overwhelmingly, the staff agreed that advisory has been a huge part of that, so that's been a great MTSS support for our students. We finished our first day of math testing, and preliminary data looks like we've had some really good growth from fall to winter. So in our limited English, we're gonna finish up with math and science.
Mr. CDM, your
think it's cool. I think it's a cool setup.
I
think
thought so
like the
too.
stuff they have there. I love that gym as an invention.
Yeah.
It's good for our kids.
I saw
You
that.
go in here with the number of like people that we're participating with, like it is a jam packed one year. Going with high school, which is cool experience.
I saw the high school wrestlers interacting with the junior at the junior high, and it just seemed like the kids, there were a lot of smiles on faces. So, but the other thing I was going to ask about, how many fifth graders do we transport from Boston?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Two?
Two kids.
Because I know or this years back, it was basically figure it out. I didn't necessarily agree with that, but
Creative was the term.
yeah. But I don't know. How are they getting?
We currently have a staff member, teacher in Boston, that drives them.
In their personal vehicle?
Or, yeah, that's the same for the cross country and track. It depends on the numbers. Each season, as we start the new season, the kids at trips. At times a coach will drive a minibus there to pick kids up, to get them to Mercer.
Minibus would be better. I don't know. Do we have it? We probably would have a great solution.
I didn't have this on my list to think about.
Sorry, I saw it on Friday and I forgot about it until I was looking at your report again. And I should have said something. I should have sent you a text on Friday, but I probably already sent
I'm
you
kinda
three.
glad you didn't.
I probably sent you three, so.
Be creative, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they
But
have.
we currently have fifth grade involved in each season, so falls cross country, the
Right.
kids do that, same with track. So it's just, wrestling is just starting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're all right.
All right, well, I think that's it. Anything else, administrative reports? All right. Then I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'm gonna go to closed session.
All right, Yates makes the motion. And, second,
I'll second.
Munson's on the ball there. Second. Roll call.
You always think of Lord, say roll call.
I know.
It's the gut wants to say voice.
Lower,
Yes.
Jake is the one.
Munson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smock,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
All right, it is 8:15 in the closed session. We'll